The Marvel Cinematic Universe has completely changed superhero movies forever, but what most people don't realize is we almost got a whole different set of movies. Before the MCU fully took over Hollywood, there were already dozens of Marvel movies in development, some with legendary directors attached, some with massive actors, and some with ideas so ambitious they could have changed superhero history entirely. Today, we're breaking down 10 canceled Marvel projects that could have changed everything. 10. Sinister Six, directed by Drew Goddard. Back when Sony was trying to build their own Spider-Man universe, they had a big idea: bring together Spider-Man's biggest villains in one movie. This was going to be Sinister Six, directed by Drew Goddard. The same guy behind The Martian and Cloverfield was supposed to build a villain team-up featuring characters like Dr. Octopus, Vulture, and more. The setup even started in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but after that movie underperformed, Sony scrapped everything. And just like that, one of the most interesting Spider-Man spin-offs disappeared. 9. JLA/Avengers. Imagine Marvel and DC on screen at the same time. That almost happened in an animated crossover based on JLA/Avengers, with Bruce Timm involved. If you know animation, you know this guy helped define Batman and Superman for a generation. His concept art even showed Marvel and DC heroes together in his iconic style. But the problem wasn't creativity, it was legal rights. Marvel and DC couldn't agree on anything, so the project never left the idea stage. 8. Spider-Man, directed by James Cameron. Before Tobey Maguire ever swung through New York, James Cameron had his own Spider-Man movie ready, and it was wild. This version would have been darker, grittier, and even R-rated. Peter Parker would have been played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and the origin story leaned into body horror. Even villains like Electro and Sandman were completely reimagined, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was even rumored for Dr. Octopus. But the project fell apart due to rights issues and studio changes. And honestly, it might have been too different from Spider-Man as we know him. 7. Runaways. Before the Hulu series, Runaways almost became a movie. Directed by Peter Sollett, the idea was a grounded teen superhero story. Think kids discovering their parents are secretly villains and running away together. The emotional tone would have been similar to Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, but with superpowers in the background. It had potential to be a breakout coming-of-age superhero hit. Instead, it got delayed and eventually turned into a TV series years later. 6. Luke Cage, Quentin Tarantino. This one sounds fake, but it's real. Quentin Tarantino once considered making a Luke Cage movie. His version would have been heavily inspired by blaxploitation films from the 70s, so you can imagine the style: gritty, stylized, and very Tarantino. But that's also where the problem is. His version might have leaned more into style than staying faithful to the comic book version of Luke Cage. Still, a Tarantino superhero movie? That's something fans will always wonder about. 5. Doctor Strange, Guillermo del Toro. Before the MCU version of Doctor Strange existed, Guillermo del Toro and Neil Gaiman almost teamed up for it. That alone should tell you how insane this could have been. Del Toro is known for dark fantasy worlds, and Gaiman is famous for mystical storytelling. Their version of Doctor Strange would have been way darker, more gothic, and probably closer to horror than superhero action. It would have been a completely different tone compared to the MCU version, and honestly, it could have been iconic. 4. Ant-Man, Edgar Wright. This is one of the biggest what-ifs in Marvel history. Edgar Wright spent nearly 10 years developing Ant-Man. His version was supposed to be fast, stylish, and comedic, basically a heist movie with shrinking physics. But before production started, he left due to creative differences with Marvel Studios. Marvel eventually made their own version with Paul Rudd, which worked. But fans still wonder what Edgar Wright's version would have looked like. 3. Spider-Man 4, Sam Raimi. After Spider-Man 3, Sam Raimi was planning a full 4th movie, and it wasn't small. The Vulture, Black Cat, and even the Lizard were all on the table. John Malkovich was reportedly set to play the Vulture, but the project collapsed before filming began. And instead of Spider-Man 4, we got a reboot with Andrew Garfield. To this day, fans still want to see what Raimi's final Spider-Man film would have been. 2. Doctor Strange 2, Scott Derrickson. Before Multiverse of Madness became what we saw in theaters, Scott Derrickson had a very different vision. His version was going to lean heavily into horror. The villain wasn't going to be Scarlet Witch, it was going to be Nightmare, ruler of the dream dimension. Doctor Strange would have gone deeper into psychological horror, closer to films like Sinister, but creative differences led to him leaving the project, and Sam Raimi stepped in instead. 1. Daredevil, Joe Carnahan. Before the Netflix series, there was a completely different Daredevil movie idea. Joe Carnahan wanted to set it in the 1970s Hell's Kitchen. Think gritty, violent, and heavily inspired by Taxi Driver. It was going to be R-rated and very grounded, more street level, less superhero fantasy, but the project got scrapped when Marvel regained control of the character. Still, this version might have been the closest thing to Frank Miller's comics ever put on screen. So out of all these canceled Marvel movies, which one do you think deserved to actually get made? Was it Edgar Wright's Ant-Man, Tarantino's Luke Cage, or maybe Raimi's Lost Spider-Man 4? And more importantly, how different do you think Marvel would be today if even one of these actually happened? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.